abusuya yadi ahyiamu di amesremo before say ye beko Agradaa ensam so no yen start every sankrofo ya abusuya omusi omuye Kwame Eugene Mr. Drew Kim Promise any medical mu look alike yen start every omu side ayade say lawyer ni bi akasa e de afa sankrofo so far said the musi yomo so omuye Kim Promise nature say medical ne nwade ade no lawyer ni no akasa e de afa kire say dia Kwame Eugene original Kwame Eugene NHS original Mr. Drew ne medical mo ebetimi ade aye sa impersonators just nkrofo yo mo impersonate original medical mi abusuan yentie de lawyer ni no all can say we are ye beto aso ewo Agradaa aside yentie ewo ha say
Now let's take some legal angle from you now. So if tomorrow Kwame Eugene says that he wants to sue his lookalike, is there any law in our books that will make this possible?
Okay, so there are two sources of law. In Ghana, we have what we call the common law, and we have the statutory provision, the Acts of Parliament. So the Acts of Parliament, what I think you can look at is what they call the Unfair Competition Act. It was passed in the 90s that allow somebody to sue that another person is taking advantage of his reputation to make undue gains economically.
We can hear you now.
Okay, and the common law.
Tripping, but we can hear you now.
Okay, the common law of what is called passing off. So I said he could sue under the Unfair Competition Act and then the common law of passing off to make the argument that these so-called look-alike are taking advantage of his reputation and his intellectual property and his rights, image rights, whatever you want to call it, to deceive his followers, Kwame Eugene's followers. And because of that, he has lost X amount or Y amount of money because of that. But like I indicated in my opening remarks, I think that the burden would have to show, the burden will be on Kwame Eugene or whoever decides to sue these people to prove that indeed these lookalikes represented themselves as the A-list artists. So I heard one of your speakers say that with Kwame Eugene, somebody went to take money for a show when the organizers think they were actually dealing with Kwame Eugene.
Yeah, that is often said that. Yes,
that is the one instance where Kwame Eugene for sure can sue, and even the organizers can sue these people, and it's even a criminal offense. The prosecutors will call it defrauding by false pretenses. And so there's the criminal angle to it, and there's the civil angle to it. So but like I indicated, as long as the person buying these services know that, oh, this looks like Kwame Eugene, but I know it is not Kwame Eugene, but I just want him for a particular purpose, then it will be difficult for Kwame Eugene to make any claim on that. The courts will not. They are not there to restrict creativity unless the creativity is used to infringe on the rights of another person. So like we normally say in constitutional law, your rights ends where somebody's own begins. And so all these factors would have to be considered before any legal action is taken or before any liability is imposed on another person legally for purportedly trying to steal the work of another person. So it's not a straightforward answer.
Go on. Okay. Let me ask you another hypothetical question. So, assuming that this lookalike goes to perform at an event, now they don't perform the original artist's songs, they perform other general songs, but they identify as, let's say, Kiddy Jr., Kwame Eugene Jr. How does the law bind them with this particular situation? In this situation,
I think I honestly think those that add the junior, I think is problematic, because clearly you see that there is an intention as much as possible to represent themselves as having some relationship with the original artist. And so once they are mentioning the names Kiddy Jr., Kwame Eugene Jr. or Kim Promise Jr., then they are representing themselves as having some form of relationship with Kwame Eugene or Kiddy, as it were. Generally the law does not give any protection in names unless you have been able to prove that you have built a reputation or goodwill in that name. So, for instance, Kwame Dazi, you cannot go to Registrar General to do, or the trademark or the copyright registry to have Kwame Dazi trademarked, or you have copyright in that name. Because what it means is that nobody else can call his son Kwame Dazi, right? But if you use a name like Kidi, which is not a name that is normally associated with the showbiz industry, but you have built that brand, that Kidi brand, and it's associated with you. Any person that uses the Kidi brand for economic gains would be deemed by a court of competent jurisdiction to be riding on the goodwill you have built on that brand. And so you, Kidi, or Kwame Eugene, as it were, will have a right to sue that person for infringing on your intellectual property. So, and it's a good question because I was waiting for you to get there. And so, to the extent that they are adding junior to their name, I think that it aligns towards that. Okay, they intend to take advantage of somebody's goodwill or somebody's reputation to benefit economically without the originator of that brand benefiting from it.
Okay, lawyer, what if they spell these names differently? Let's say Kiddy, and the person decides to maybe spell it
The
I.
passing off is not
How does
only.
it?
Yeah, Kwame, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The passing off, the law against the passing off or unfair competition is not only in the optics, it's also in the phonetics. And so,
Really?
yes, it's in the phonetics because as we speak now, when you mention Kidi, I would not know whether you meant Keedi or Qeedi. I will hear Kidi, and the phonetics is the same as the Kidi that I know. You understand? And so the law against the passing off is not only in the optics or the visuals, but also in the phonetics. And so it will count for nothing, even if you spelt it differently, as long as they sound the same. And the test is whether an ordinary person, a reasonable person, or an ordinary person who hears Kidi would be confused whether it is Kidi as we know him, or the new Kidi, the look-alike. And so the phonetics really counts.
Wow, this is interesting. So it means that if somebody Bobby Bunsen, and somebody spells your Bunsen, let's say Bunsing, just
Yeah.
because they sound alike, they are liable.
Yeah, if as long as they are representing their product as mine, they are liable.
As yours.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're
let me
liable.
give you another situation. So the person looks like an original artist, if you like, but the person doesn't even put himself out as that person, doesn't perform his songs, but decides to tweak the spelling of the name. Does it still pass for that?
Like I said, as long as it sounds like it,
I
and you
don't put
can,
myself. I'm not putting myself out there as that person.
so
The
you
intention
see,
is not to
yes,
put myself out there as a person.
exactly. So you have used the right word. Once you're able to prove that there is no intention, so for instance, you look like a medical, you are also an artist, and then your name is hospital, or your name is clinical, or let's say your name is clinical, but you look but you look like Frimpong, and then he calls himself medical, and your name is clinical, but you never on any platform associate your brand with his brand. Then I think that you have not breached any of his right, because it will be difficult to create that there is intention. So okay, so generally, you know that they say great minds think alike, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so protection of your intellectual property is not in your thoughts but in your deeds.
abusia ɛyɛ asɛm o look alike foi ɛyɛ kyerɛ sɛ kim promise ne ɛho ade ade omo de asembeba what you say so far the omo ye omo ho ane said omo si perform e stage with safo yi nyom ane ehwo ade ade ne de abusuya memi hu ni say ombe divide original artist for no attention what you say abusuya ye free omo de so na yanko Agradaa mamia ye friend no Agradaa aside yes ayade say Agradaa ye nyina ye nim say wo ye osof maame no video bi ababonte abusuan video ni mu no abrante bi testify and asa woka e de tia Agradaa ekwanya Agradaa afa so abuild abusuan bia ba drinking spot e wona sorry dining chain aches abusuan for Agradaa to build a sorry dine and it's a bia ba e wa sorry dining chain no yenkonko tie free abrante no anumwe na Agradaa de ni hu papa abusuan Jensha de eko nyina.
Mare, oko ye den. Agado nyame nipa. So on no so ye nyame nipa. Question, o ye nyame nipa. So ye nyame nipa yes of baudi for by jealous. Na so da ni a. Aso da ni na. E chisi. Ni bia ba kakraka ho.
O si ni bia ba kakraka e wo ho. E ya asem o na bia ba no omo ye de ngo ho. A kire sabusia eni Agradaa e Wudini o because so be bie ubebie asori na wate biaba ewa asori ne nchen no abusia na ukita adwembone wate ase adwembone a opese odi make sika ye hwe de ekonyina
so woni ma men ka biabo wo dey sembeba wo si dey Agradaa na lady no na chise no ono ni biaba kakraka ono akasa ni biaba kakraka na na ohuye mare oko ye den Agado
abusia ya asem o papa ya wokase ne din ade duaboken otani Agradaa eklashi ena abusia o ma yente prof se Agradaa sorry dan nachi Agradaa biaba bie sikono jai enye biaba ketwa wati ase achese Agradaa na rani biaba no ene asori ni nyina as bishop Agradaa abusia Agradaa nwohu opesa video yi a like na se wo adwenchire bia drop it osonfo amazing aka you talk too much any